Good afternoon, guys. Laura from Hedgehog's Homestead here. Today I've made my traditional bread, so I'm going to go ahead and form that, but I'm also going to bring you in closer because we're going to try those bagels that are made from everyday bread again, but this time I'm going to put some cinnamon sugar and some raisins in it, and we'll make bagels with cinnamon sugar and raisins. So let's get to that. I've got my bread here that formed. This is sourdough bread that I make once a week. Put a little flour on my cutting board here, and I'm going to take it out. A dough paddle is kind of good for this, but I don't have one. That's okay. Comes out a little easier though. Okay, and I also have a knife here that I just use for every day, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this dough in half. Just kind of put a little dough on my knife, or flour on my knife. I'm going to cut this in half. So half of it will be a loaf and half of it will be bagels. And just put it aside. Make sure that I have plenty of flour over there for it to sit on. This is a sticky dough. So we're going to stretch it out like so to form. I've already sprayed my pan. It's just a regular loaf pan that everybody has probably, you know, that if you have made, but that's the size of bread. We don't need any more than that. It's nice and bubbly, nicely fermented. And then we're just going to take in both sides here, pinch it together, and roll it. And I do this every week and make a loaf of bread for ourselves, sourdough loaf. In this recipe, I'll leave it in a link above. It's really simple to make. If you have a starter, I also have pinch in the ends, and then I just take that and stick it in my loaf pan. I'm going to put some saran wrap on time, and as soon as it rises to the top and fills out the whole pan, then I'll bake it at 400 degrees for 25 minutes in that size of pan. If the pan was bigger or longer and I had more dough in it, I would do it for 30 minutes at 400 degrees. Okay, and then for my bagels, I have a pan just with a little parchment paper in it. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add about 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And then I have some raisins here that I soaked in water for a little while so they're nice and plump. Because once they go through the baking process, they can really shrivel up, so we want them plump. There we go. And then I'm going to add some cinnamon just over top like so. And then I'm going to mix this in. Just kind of knead this a little bit. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to make this into a round, and then I'm going to cut it in as many pieces as I can. It doesn't matter. I did this second, so I'm not putting any of that in my regular loaf of bread here. So I'm going to cut this in half. Then I'm going to cut it down the other way. And then I'm going to cut those in half. Like so. Like you're cutting a pie, guys. And there we go, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll those up in our hand like so. Kind of tuck them under like so, like you would do biscuits. And then we're going to take our finger and pierce it through and then pull the hole. And there we go, we have a bagel. Okay, and then I'm going to just set it on our parchment paper for it to rise. Now the same thing here, we're going to roll it into a ball. It's not sticking together very well because of the cinnamon and sugar. These are going to be so delicious. So we're going to then tuck it under and pinch it all together on the bottom, like so. And then we're going to poke our hole in it. And then we got another bagel right there. And then we're going to let these rise for a little while. Tuck it in. Of course we want cinnamon. There we go. Pinch it under, poke a hole in it, kind of pull it apart, and then put it on our paper. Now, these are doing the Doug and Stacy way again, but I always have extra bread because we can't go through 2 loaves at a time, so I thought I'd try it again, the Doug and Stacy way. I do have a bagel recipe for regular bagels that's really good, the New York style. I'll leave that at the end of the video in my baking recipe videos. So these are going to be a little bit funny looking, but Doug and Stacy's were too, but you know what, they were delicious. So the thing is, they're not very consistent in size this way. So but the good thing to know, even if they fall apart when you're boiling them, they will come together in the long run. Now they go back into the oven under my oven light to do a second rise. We'll see you guys when it's time to bake them and when it's time to boil the bagels. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit crooked, but my tripod is broken. Got to get a new one. So our water is about to come to a rolling boil. We're ready to put our bagels in. They have risen. These are sourdough based bagels. This is done the Doug and Stacy way of just taking your regular everyday bread and making it into a bagel. So they turned out delicious, even though they were kind of funny looking before. This time they're still funny looking, but a little bit better than last time. They've risen nicely, so we're going to go ahead and deal with this. First thing we're going to do, come to a rolling boil. And so I'm going to take some baking soda that we have here and put a tablespoon of baking soda in the water. And about a tablespoon of honey. A generous tablespoon. I'm going to mix that in there. And before we put our bagels in, you can see that they've risen a little bit here. I'm going to make sure that that's at a good rolling boil. Turn it up just a little bit. That is good enough. So I'm going to take the saran wrap off the bagels. We'll do our funny ones first. And just stick them in the water, like so. And we're going to do 1 minute on each side. Sometimes you have to reestablish the holes. Oh, I have bread baking too, so I'm just going to have to estimate. Give me a 1 minute timer. Turn it down just a tad bit.
There are no timers set.
Give me a timer for 1 minute.
1 minute, counting down.
They puff up a little bit more in the water. I'm going to flip them over. And if your bagels ever come apart in the water, just realize when you bake them that they'll come back together. Okay. 1 minute on this side. I'm also baking bread at the same time from the same recipe. Except I'm not doing cinnamon raisin bread. I'm just doing regular sourdough bread. So I'll leave a link to that recipe. Okay. Okay. part because it sticks to the parchment paper a little bit. Reestablish that hole. Okay, 1 minute on each side again. They look funny, but they taste delicious. Okay, time to turn them over. Oop. Oop. And then these will bake at 425 for 20 minutes. Okay, time to come out. Boy, this one's a big one. Okay. Okay. Turn that off, and then when my bread is done, then I'll stick the bagels in. Okay, now guys, our bagels are ready to go in. So we're going to do that. Oven's heated at 425. And I'm going to try some steam on the bottom this time. Okay, they are ready to come out of the oven. Whew, steamy. There we go. Oh. Sticking to the paper a little bit, probably because of the sugar. That's what the other side looks like. Here we go. We'll let them cool. Look at that. Isn't that amazing, guys? Cinnamon raisin bagels. There they go. Yummo. They smell amazing. There you guys go. That's what it looks like cut open. Let me get some. All right, now let's give it a taste. It's like dessert. That's good. That's good, guys. That is really good. So there you guys go. Out of one recipe, 2 different kinds of breads. Everyday sandwich sourdough loaf, which tastes not very sourdoughy because of the nature of the bread, you make it really, and you know, so we have that here. And out of the same bread recipe, sourdough, we made these lovely bagels that are going to be ready to eat in just a little bit. So thank you guys for coming along and watching our recipe play out. So thank you guys for coming along. We appreciate you. Remember, I'm chasing my dreams. Go chase yours. And the Dream Maker. God bless you. See you next time. Bye.